Hi, folks. Welcome to Flipping Dreams. I'm your host, Heather Renee May, but today it's all about Dotty. I'm going to take you to Dallas, Texas, where you will get to meet Dottie's first foster mom, Kelly King, and also hear all about the Cane Rosso Rescue, which does amazing things in Texas by saving dogs, bringing them out of shelters, placing them in their foster home system, and then finding them forever homes. But the unique thing about this is that Cane Rosso is a restaurant company. It's pizza, pizza to pups. So we're going to hear all about this journey. You are listening to Flipping Dreams. I don't know you, Judy, I don't think, but to listeners, Kelly is Dottie's first foster mom, and so we owe her so much because Dottie's amazing. Everyone loves Dottie. Everyone loves Dottie. Um,
I would agree. She's absolutely amazing. Definitely holds a place in my heart.
Yes, yes, she is such a love bug. Um, and part of what I wanted to do is to share with listeners like more about Cane Rosso, how it came about. How'd you go from pizza to pups? And and also, um, I would love to. I mean, even just talking through like Dottie's journey and what some of these dogs' journeys, like what they go through and what services you provide. And I don't know where exactly you want to start in that. And I don't know, yeah, this is pretty free form. So,
Perfect. Well, um, so let's introduce Judy Warren first, who is actually one of my best friends. Started out as a client of mine for my official job, because dog rescue is not our full-time jobs. We just enjoy it doing it in our free time. But Judy was kind enough to get roped in and brings a lot of the organization and just awesome business mentality skills where I just have a passion for dogs. So it's a great balance for us. And so
I
we
also
really
have
are
a
kind of a
passion
yin
for
and yang.
dogs. I'd
You
like to
do,
just
but
say that.
I'm the crazy. Very true. Very, very true. But I do not know how to organize or have the business function. So if it was without Judy, we'd have 900 dogs running around and nobody to take care of them. So there's a good yin and yang here, because sadly there are over 900 dogs at any point in time that need help. So Judy can tell you all the stats about our organization, like when we started and how many dogs we've rescued. And I'll try and think of how many have come through my house following. I'm going to call her
Yeah.
Cleo because I always did, but that
oh,
was her first
sorry.
name. But now it's
Yes.
Dot now. So
Which
I recognize
whenever,
she's had a name change.
yeah, when we come visit, you're allowed to call her Cleo, and I also call her like
Yes.
Cleo Dottie, like it's like Cleopatra, but
Yeah.
Cleo Dottie. Like
Yeah.
anyway,
No,
it's
and
fine.
it totally goes with her, but it's just still a Cleo in my head, which I never really liked that name. But I have a dog named Rita, and I still don't like that name, but it's just what was called during foster care, so it kind of just sticks with them for a while. So kudos to you for getting her a name that fits her better.
Well,
So Judy,
Well,
if you
and
want to,
Cleo and I actually have a history as well
you do
because
absolutely.
Cleo came to my house for a few days, and we actually had a coffee date in McKinney, where we sat and enjoyed coffee outside and watched the world go by upon a failed potential adoption meet and greet. But we had a good time.
She was
So
waiting
yeah,
for Heather.
She was waiting for you. So yeah, we've had fun.
so tell me what it was like when you first tell me Dot's journey because I think that's so many people know Dottie that
Yep.
that's really going to be really impactful to hear like what and also I love to hear her story too. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kelly, you do that.
And I'll probably mess it up because I hate to say it, but Dottie's journey was overshadowed a little bit by another dog we also broke her out of prison with. So both her and a dog named Bo, who also holds a special place in our heart, were at Harris County, which it's Houston, the city of Houston's main city shelter, and if a dog enters there within 3 days, it's usually euthanized, sadly, and it just comes from a very diverse background, with lots of different thoughts on how to take care for dogs. So it's overrun with horrible stories. Cleo was looked like she had just delivered babies, and clearly emaciated as well, had heartworms and needed treatment for that, and then just overall just was in bad shape. The other dog that was there was a dog named Bo, who was a lovely dog, and we broke them both out of I'm going to call it doggy prison, took them to a vet, and we got a call the next morning that Bo had eaten through the vet's walls and had to leave immediately because he had terrible separation anxiety. So what we were planning on doing was getting them vetting and letting them decompress at the vet and get medical care for a few days. Quickly became a catalyst for get them up from Houston immediately and find a ride now, because of Bo's terrible separation anxiety, and what he did to that vet's office, which thank God, knock on wood, they'd never sent us a massive bill for it, but I'm sure that might be coming still if they remember what happened. So it was a little bit overshadowed, but they came up to our center, and we have a center in Carrollton, Texas. We're fortunate enough to have a place. Many rescues only operate on fosters, and we try and get as many dogs as we possibly can into the foster and home environment, but sadly that's not always a possibility. So Bo ended up living at the center for a very long time, but Cleo was able to come to my house, and she was just so wayfish. That's not even a word, I don't know what that is, but just wanted to be on her own. So I originally just brought her to my house to decompress for a little bit, but it became clear that disrupting her care would be pretty traumatic to her. She just kind of sat on a dog bed for the first probably week, out of the rush from all my other dogs, and then slowly she would show interest in things. So it took her some time to get out of her shell and feel comfortable. And here, at that time, I had two of my own dogs who were pretty high energy, and she was just kind of like, hey, cool, but I'm not going to fight with you, but I really don't want you near me. So I'll sit over here and you guys continue go playing. But over time, she kind of just grew into it and realized she was allowed to walk around without fear. She was allowed to go outside. She infamously ate some of my windowsills and got that out of the system. After she ate one. Yeah, apparently she wanted to go out when I was at work or something like that. I have a dog door, so she usually can go in and out, but I guess it became a nervous tick. So we found that she likes bones. And people would always laugh when they'd come over because I had like 15 bones everywhere, but it didn't matter because gave her something to chew, which wasn't my windowsills, and figured out what she liked. But overall,
which I just want to interject, like, fun fact is, like, one of her favorite things to do is she has a bag of bones, and I can just put it in the living room, and she will one by one pull out each bone and play for hours, like, totally entertain herself. Yeah.
Yep. So she absolutely was the sweetest. So lived with me for a series of months. And at that time we were going through a transition, at our rescue too, where we were trying to find more full-time help. And I remember getting Heather's, application, and it's like, woman from North Carolina wants to adopt in Texas. How's this going to work? But something stood out about it. So typically we don't, we struggle with adopting out of state just because how to get the dog there and what happens if it doesn't work. And she was such a special dog that you really needed to take time to see through it. She wasn't going to come up and wag her tail and just kiss all over you and be jubilant. So it really took a special person seeing the love that she could offer, and allow her to become comfortable. And I'll never forget when Heather came to town, and like you took her for one day and like she kind of just shut down, right? She acted like she was hurt and we didn't know what happened. And
yeah,
so
she had a whole freak out. Yeah. So it was a transition time, and thankfully everybody invested the time it took to get her comfortable. And then 6 months after you ended up taking her, you came back and she barely recognized me. She came for a play date and I was like, hi, don't you remember me? Hi, I missed you so much. And she's like, yeah, nope, that woman over there, I'm going to follow her everywhere she goes. I'm going to freak out if she leaves my sight. So it's things like that that's so rewarding. It's heartbreaking when I see the dogs leave, but it's so rewarding when they when I see them just flourishing and not remember me at all, because they're just so happy. Aww.
Yeah, and Bo, if anyone wants to know what happened to Bo, he found himself also out of state, living in acres and acres, and I forget which state he went to, but Kelly will remember, but living basically in a massive place with a lot of land and just running and having the best life. So they both went out of state and found their best lives.
Now that you think about it, I think he actually was in North Carolina too.
That's so funny.
Resides there still. Yeah, so small world.
That is. You should have like a reunion, a big fundraiser adoption, but reunion for all of the.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
because Bo's family actually, they adopted another dog from us as well, and their son-in-law lives in Texas, and small world, I'll never forget. They actually owned the travel agency in the small town in New Jersey I grew up with. So it just kind of felt like a comfortable web of people that it's funny how dog rescue brings you all together. But they still keep in touch and send pictures of them, and everybody, the dogs just found the right home, and it was wonderful.
That's so cool.
I'm going to try and switch my audio real quick.
Okay.
So that you can actually see me when I talk. So let me know if you can't hear me in just a second.
So while she's doing that, maybe I can give you a bit of background on the rescue itself.
Yes, please.
And how, how we've got to where we are and kind of progress that we've made. The rescue was founded in the early sort of 2010s by Jay Jerrier, who's the owner of the Cane Rosso restaurant, local chain here in Texas. So he, a big pizza fan, has also been on diners, drive-ins, and drives. So very exciting, but really massive heart and loves his dogs. And he had the name actually of the restaurant group, Cane Rosso, means red dog, based on a dog that he actually had, one of his Vizslas. So he had basically gone down the route of following the I can't say it, Lily Tomlin quote, where she said, I looked and said somebody should do something, and I realized I was somebody, and he decided that he was somebody, and so he this dog had come into his life. He found a foster for it, so then he started taking more dogs and doing and finding more fosters on a very informal basis. Kelly actually fostered early on for Cane Rosso, so she was involved at the inception. But in 2015, we actually opened a brick and mortar facility out here in Carrollton, Texas, and it's not huge. It's big, it's big enough for us to have a decent amount of dogs there, but at least it's a stop point as well for those that are heading into foster. But it means that we are not dependent on having a foster before we pull a dog from a difficult situation. So that has been great. I actually got involved in I want to say end of 2015, 2016 time. Luckily, I'd taken some time out of work, was having a year off, grown-up gap year, and just at the time we were looking for extra help at the rescue, so I got myself more involved with that. After Kelly had sneakily managed to get me to adopt my first dog, so she was a foster with Kelly, and she asked if I could look after her for just the weekend while she was out of town, and that was it. She never left. So, and now I have two. So we're, she's a pusher, a dog pusher. But yeah, so back then, I would say we were very small. I think we had 11 kennels at the rescue, and we had very small numbers of fosters. I mean, no more than like 3 to 6 dogs in foster at any one time. So limited. By 2018,
and how were you hearing about these foster or these dogs?
Yeah, so the dogs, obviously we get through connections with the shelters, with Facebook, people identifying it for us. Fosters, again, we were working
real quick. It is never hard, sadly, to find a dog in need.
No.
I mean, the amount of times we are tagged in Facebook posts, we get emails, we get text messages. It's inundating, and it can absolutely devastate you too. But that's why thankfully Judy helps balance us too, in terms of we have a mission we are a sporting breed rescue. That's how we started, and there's rescue. There's specific breed rescues out there. We try and if it's a purebred dog, we try and get them to that specific breed, so that we can really house the kind of mixed breeds that have some sporting lines in them, etc. Just to try and coordinate as many across whatever rescues we possibly can. There's small dog rescues, etc. But you don't have to look to find a dog in need. Sadly, they will find you everywhere.
You do, however, have to look to find a foster. And we certainly found that in the beginning. It was word of mouth, it was friends of friends. And we had a hard time in the beginning just building up those foster numbers. The advantage of fosters is that if we're full in the center, we can still keep pulling dogs because we have somewhere to go. We were not in that position back in sort of 15, 16. We really needed the center to enable us to pull more dogs because our foster numbers were quite low. However, we currently are in a much better position. We've had a real, from sort of 2018 onwards, we've had a real ramp up in awareness, in support, both volunteers, financial, in-kind donations like, toys and all that stuff. It's really gone crazy, which is excellent, because when we get more money, it doesn't mean we have money. It means we can get more dogs to spend the money on. So just some of the Kelly will laugh at the boring facts and figures. So yes. In 2018, we adopted or found permanent homes for 183 dogs, which we thought was amazing. We were blown away. In 2019, we set a target of 250. Our rescue director actually said 300, and we laughed at her and said, let's set a realistic one. If we go over, great, but let's be realistic. We actually found homes for 414 dogs in 2019.
Wow. For
2020, we set ourselves the target, again, trying to be realistic, of 366. So one a day. That was our basic target. We so far this year have adopted 283 dogs, which means if we forecast it out, we're probably going to break 500 this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's amazing. And I'm actually tearing up now.
Yes. Well, oh my gosh.
I'm the steady business one. So yeah, in the last year, if we count 18, 19 and 20, we will have found homes for over 1,000 dogs, which is incredible. And then the other good news is, with all of that and with the amazing effort that's gone in from our team at the center, from our director, our kennel techs, all the volunteers, our foster numbers are growing. We used to have, like I said, we had between 3 and 6 fosters at any one time. Most recently, I think the most dogs we've had in foster has been over 40. And we've gone to, having an average of 15 to 18 dogs under our care at any one time, to an average of somewhere between 45 and 50 at any one time. So, wow. It just tells you what the need is out there. As Kelly said, that number could be tenfold. So when we start, the support that we get and the support that we need, what it does is lets us dig in a little bit more into that need that's out there, because the dogs never stop coming. COVID actually has been an interesting time for us, because we have seen such a rise in fosters, because people are at home and they're more willing to take dogs, because, hey, we're going to be at home, see how we go, break them in, get comfortable with them. So we're hoping that, a good number of them will continue even when things go back to normal. But it is it's just it's a great position, but we want to keep doing more and more. So we actually just spoke with some local press today, and what we were emphasizing to them is awareness is key for us, because the more people know about us, the more people are step forward and say, well, I could foster a dog, short term, long term, whatever's needed, we'll take it. And also, once we get back open, we love having volunteers coming to this center just to, take a dog for a walk. We've had a couple of, runners who come in and say, hey, I'm going to go for a long run. Let me take a couple of the dogs that would be good for that. So, we are, we always say we're the most flexible volunteer organization you'll ever work with. Sign your form and you're good to go. If you can give us 10 minutes, great. If you can give us, 3 hours or a day, whatever you want to do, we'll do. We've been really privileged to work with a local high school for individuals with special needs, and those kids have come in and spent time with our dogs, and it's just such an amazing experience when you watch them interacting with the dogs and making those bonds, and they come back each week and So we want to partner with the community, is because we know the power of loving a dog and what that can do for you. So as much as we want to, move our dogs through, we want to help other organizations too, and people get that, get the same joy that we all get, right, from the dogs that we have. So yeah, the last 3 years have been absolutely mind-blowing for us. And like I said, when you think about it, almost over 1,000 dogs. That's thanks to, like I said, everyone at our rescues who's amazing, but everyone out there who supports us is just it makes me a bit of an emotional wreck, which is, I'm meant to be the sensible one, but I'm not always.
No, it's wonderful, and you probably don't always have the time to like actually look back and see, and actually,
Right.
take it in because you're so busy in the present, like doing it. And I mean, I certainly appreciate your flexibility because, like Kelly said, here I am, this, strange woman living in one state, going to another state, like looking for a rescue dog. But I just felt very convicted that I was going to find my forever little friend, and it was going to be a Texas friend. And I went to one other place before, and that just, it didn't, we didn't click. And then when I walked into Kelly's house, Dot just came right up to me. and, she, and she's just so sweet. So anyway, the not only that, the experience for me as someone who was adopting, the generosity, like I got all of the information that I needed. I got a gift card to go to Cane Rosso for pizza. And I was actually talking to my girlfriend in Dallas a couple days ago, and she was like, you know what? I remember when you first adopted Dottie because we went to Cane Rosso and we had that amazing flatbread. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. You were there. You were part of this journey. So anyway, it's just all around is such a wonderful, wonderful organization that I can't say enough good things about. But I
Yeah, we
definitely,
appreciate that.
oh yeah, yeah, and I'm afraid. I mean, we are coming back to Texas at the end of October. Um, I'm so. The thing about your Facebook is that it's very addictive, and it's really, there's been about like 12 dogs on there that I've been really like almost been like, Kelly, would Dottie do okay with this dog? Because
Is Cecil one of them? Because he's sitting right here, and I think he'd be perfect for you.
really? Oh gosh. Wait, is what's his name? Because
Cecil, he's a
Cecil.
big yellow lab. So, sometimes you get really easy stories and other times you don't. And his is a horrible story, sadly. He lived down by the border of Mexico. He's a 10-year-old lab, sweet as can be. And now is like 13 teeth less because he never had any care. He's got heartworm. But they just left him. Family picked up and moved from the house and left him in the backyard. And they would come occasionally to feed him, and then realized, oh, the neighbor was also helping feed him because they were only coming every other day or so. And so they then just stopped coming. And luckily, the neighbor called and reached out for help. So he's a sweet, sweet dog, but I call him Hop-Along Joe as well because he has bullet fragments in his leg that never got tended to and will forever be there. So he is consistently limping, but you wouldn't know. It doesn't take out his spirit, and he's just a sweet dog. Can I sit next to you and just be with you? He just doesn't like to be left alone because he got left in a backyard. So he's enjoying kind of going in and out of my house, but no issues. Completely house trained, completely sweet. If you're there, loves it. But somehow they felt the need to leave him in a backyard by himself. So
That is
I think
so.
he'd be great too. Sweet,
Oh,
sweet dog.
yeah. Well, we're gonna make another visit. So, as Kelly was saying earlier, Dot, we had a little reunion. I wasn't sure if that was going to confuse Dot or not, but anyway, or Cleo Dot. But yeah, she will respond to both names if I do call. She does remember. But anyway, we are going to come back, and yeah, I'm afraid because I'm also like I only have a small camper trailer, and anyway, but yeah. So gosh, like what are some of the things that I don't know. I guess maybe if you could tell me like some of the biggest stories that stand out to you of like, yeah, what are some of the moments?
Yeah,
Also, like, I am sure during this time that you've been doing this, you've had moments of like doubt and wondering like why you're doing this because it's a lot of work. You guys put a lot of energy, a lot of effort into this. And so maybe also talking through some of that, like
yeah.
what has carried you through?
So Kelly has some great individual stories, but maybe I'll just tell you one of the sort of a big collective one. Her memory is much better than mine, so she remembers the specifics of the individuals. But um, in beginning of, I guess it would have been 2017 going into 18. No, sorry, 2018. Towards the end of 2018. Our new rescue director had just started with us. She was very well connected, which was great. And she got a call about a severe hoarding situation in South Texas. And we didn't fully understand the extent to which the hoarding was taking place. But she had asked, can I go down there? Can I go and help and bring back some dogs? And so off she went, drove down.
It was like an 8-hour drive, and she rented
Yeah.
a cargo van, and we just loaded it with as many kennels as we could, not knowing what we were getting into.
Right. And then what we found was over 150 dogs on this premises where this older couple, sad story, they'd had some dogs, they'd not been neutered, then, so they had started having puppies, etc. And then people realized there were more dogs, so they started dumping dogs there. And, so it just grew and grew and grew. But, and then the family actually had a house fire. So the house burnt down. So there's, over 150 dogs on this burnt down property, just absolutely tragic. The dogs were basically feral, never been on a leash. He certainly knew their names and loved them, but had, there just was really no care being taken. So she drove down all the way, like Kelly said, good 8 hours or so, loaded up, and then drove back. And what that did for us, because we started posting about needing help, and we had probably about 15 people waiting at the center.
And it was like midnight.
11 o'clock at night, yeah. Ready with a plan to like tag these dogs, bathe these dogs, de-tick and pick off, get tweezers out and take the ticks off them, get them registered and then get them settled. And she ended up going back again to get some more. Now that first weekend, we basically were there the whole time. We're, as long as we could be, and people just kept showing up. It was the most unbelievable experience. For me, it's the reason why this is so close to my heart. Is literally from the moment we started the discussion, we somehow found ourselves on TV. We people were they were turning up, donations were coming in, people were turning up with bags of towels and blankets and toys. What do you need? When do you need us to be here? People, they were giving their time as well as their financial support. We joke that we had one chap came out to the rescue, and he kind of offered to do some handyman stuff around the facility, and I did the tour, and at the end he's like, oh yeah, we can do this, at which point, as I was trying to say thank you, I collapsed in tears because you're so tired and overwhelmed. And it was just an expression of the humanity that is out there. It was just the support and the good news story that we had with that. It was just incredible. It was overwhelming because we spend all our time, I think, reading bad news and negative things, and when something like this happens, you realize that's not real. That's 5% of what's going on in the world. This is the real stuff. And so for me, that probably epitomized what rescue is all about and why we're involved. You know, I've met people I'd never have met, and we just see the good.
And I also think the dogs that you're rescuing, they're slightly different as well, because it's not like these aren't dogs that are in a shelter that are probably would be easy to be adopted out. I mean, some of these dogs,
Yeah.
they have bullet holes, they have missing limbs, they have like severe, I mean, it is astonishing to see what they survive through. And my favorite part of the whole
Mm-hmm.
Facebook thing is seeing the before and after, how they recover and how loving
Yeah.
and like, and you see what they've gone through. And it's just, and that's a tribute to what you do, because that only amazing love and people can do that. It can help a dog recover from that kind of trauma, you know?
It's
And
really admirable. And it's funny, there's a local coffee shop here, and I went there the other day for the first time, and they gave me a sleeve on my coffee mug, and it says, "May you be the type of person your dog thinks you are." And like, I was like, how did they know? Did I look like a crazy dog lady? I wasn't wearing my rescue shirt. How did they know? But
you probably
it
did.
kind of probably did. And they actually have a dog parking lot, so I like leave my dogs there and I go up anyway. But it's true. It's absolutely amazing how forgiving these dogs are. Like Cecil's walking around with bullets, got left, and just loves people, right? And they're just so forgiving. And we've had, sadly, some very aggressive dogs too that you can tell. I just adopted one out. These people surrendered him with a shock collar and a spray bottle of like a poison spray to get him to act right. And so the minute I took it out of the bag, he just cowers and freaks out, and you can tell he tensed up. And it's like there's just some really sad things, and yet this dog still allowed me to handle him and tried to trust me the best that he could, tried to regain that trust. So it's absolutely admirable how quickly dogs try and overcome what they've done and really just see the good in people. And it's sad that I think we've all somewhat learned off of it. The one you asked kind of what some of the toughest parts have been, as a volunteer organization, for the most part, we try and watch every dollar possible. And we've never turned down a medical case. And many times we'll see, I had one, we had pulled the Rio Grande Valley was flooding, and we had a boat bringing dogs to us. And the dogs all had distemper and ended up passing away except for one. And the amount of money we spent on them trying to get them out of that situation, and really try to do it, and just to watch it all go. And we had invested so much time in those dogs. It was probably my first big rescue, because I think there were like 10 dogs at the same time, and sadly only one survived. And so it was just a heartbreaking thing to we go through all of this and can't get it, but there's lights that came out of that. We partnered with other rescue organizations. That's how we found our new director. And so there's always kind of a silver lining. But the one thing that you'll find out about dog rescue, sadly, is there are a lot of passionate people. And so there's a lot of ideas on how to do things. And it's an interesting way, because we're all like, can't it just be good for the dogs? Well, there's just so many people telling you how to do things differently that it can really just get you burned out. Like Judy and I are sometimes like, we're not even getting paid. Why are we doing this? Like, all these people are having this idea or this idea, and it's just like, okay, but in the end, we know the difference that we're making. We know how we're getting there. We try and run our expenses so close. So to Judy's point, when we had that hoarding situation, it may have been the person she's referring to, they built a fence around our property because these dogs had never seen a leash, and we were carrying 100-pound dogs out. We don't have a staff except one person on at a single time. So they can't carry a kennel with a 100-pound dog in it out every time. So the amount of volunteer work that had to come through, and our staff, we pay them essentially minimum wage, and they do it truly for the love of the dog. It's not like we have a lot of money out there, because we'd rather do it use that money on medical cases and use it to save more dogs. So really everybody that's involved in the organization truly does it out of the love of their heart. And as much as we'd love to give back, and I mean, our staff is worth so much, it's not feasible for us to do it. So we're very fortunate to have found the people that are truly run on passion and contribute so well to making these dogs, have such a different forever. We're really fortunate in that aspect of it.
That's amazing.
We were also really, really grateful last year. We were actually nominated in the Nonprofit of the Year award for for Dallas D Magazine, and we were lucky enough to be a finalist in that. So although we didn't win, we were in such amazing company. But we were, finalist of 4 in the smaller size category. So, I mean, again, that is all down to the actions of our staff, of our volunteers, of our fosters, and also just, not forgetting the staff and team members at the restaurants, because, they go a long way of spreading the word and, letting people know about us. And so we're really grateful for that partnership too.
That's amazing. What is the vision moving forward? Like, do you all have a sense of, like, do you want to keep scaling? Or are you just trying to manage, or yeah?
If we wanted to talk about our BHAG, or our big hairy audacious goal,
Yeah.
I think ultimately we'd all love to have a kind of a sanctuary, big property with land, and be able to take a large number of dogs, and also know that if some don't find homes, then they've got somewhere to be. At this point, obviously what we're trying to do is, as Kelly said, is just manage our expenses and just keep fighting through right now, keeping, we've scaled so much, but yet we've actually, our staff levels are still low, and the dog numbers have gone up, but not much else. So I think that's kind of out there in the future. Is that something we can start building towards? And you see a lot of organizations having sort of big capital projects, and that's not somewhere we've gone yet, but is something we would like to think about, and having a better facility, and moving into that sort of bigger space. But we also all know that we love the feel of the rescue. We like the informality. We like if you go by our center these days, I mean, not right now because of COVID, but prior to that, I mean, it's become a bit of a hangout. People stop by and they just play with the dogs and hang out, and it's just a really warm, welcoming place with very few rules other than safety and dog concern. But we'd like to do something that would allow us to scale up, but keep that kind of same feeling.
And you would think that with all the land in Texas, that someone would have, someone listening perhaps would have some extra acres that would like to donate towards this.
Yeah. Where we're currently located, and we were just fortunate enough to even find this space, but it's kind of like an old warehouse district, and it's right along train tracks, which freak the dogs out. And it's down a really long dirt road. So it's not, we don't get foot traffic. You really have to be dedicated to find us. It is somewhat in the Metroplex. It's kind of on the outskirts, but at least it's somewhat convenient for people to get to, which is always a hard part. But we make the best of what we can. And like I said, we had a fence donated there, and so at least we can keep the dogs safe, and just, even though, and they finally get used to the trains, but we do what we can. But yes, in the perfect world, we'd have a rolling acres, not a train station of a place. And but we've recognized some of the rescues have gotten very big, and sadly they've kind of imploded, because you get so many different thoughts, and then as you grow, you have to have a much stricter board and lots of different things. So it's nice to keep the intimate feelings. If you were to call me about a dog, I most likely know about it and can talk about it. And so it's nice because we personally feel connected to each and every one of the dogs. They're no longer a number, and they won't be a number for us. So that's nice to keep it that way.
Because I initially applied for Goldie, and then ended up with Dot. But because you were like, no, I think I've got one for you. I think I've got one that's going to be just right for you. So, and that's because, you really take the time and care, and that is such a difference. Oh gosh, here she's going to show me Cecil.
Well, and Goldie's sitting right here. I was going to say she's probably going to jump up in just a second, because she's right here. She'd never left.
Aww.
After over a year of trying to find a forever home, I decided I couldn't let her go and transition her. She was 11 and a half when I got her.
Yeah.
She's now almost so I wasn't going to make her transition one more time if she was okay here. So, and now she's anti-aging. So, but she'll come up in a second. She doesn't like to be picked up, apparently.
Yeah.
She's a bit of a Benjamin Button dog.
I was like, here's Cecil, and there's Goldie next to him.
And there's Goldie. Oh my gosh.
So we do have it. They're all around.
Yes. Oh.
They're enjoying COVID now that I'm home.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Dotty really
COVID's been a blessing in disguise. Sadly, we can't have the volunteers that we'd like to. And we'd have to put up some walls, but we also were introduced to a lot of people. To Judy's credit or point, a lot of people were looking to adopt and built our foster network home. So we've had to be creative in how we tap into people. Originally, we were founded by Jay Jerrier and the restaurants, and we used to get a percentage of sales from the restaurants. Sadly, restaurants are struggling to survive, in COVID times. So we've been fortunate enough to keep some of our funding up through public outside donors and some of our supporters there. Obviously, going without that restaurant funding has been tough on us, but we're trying to make it work, and just wish that we could still have the camaraderie and the volunteers that we used to, and have them show up and walk dogs and stuff. But for everybody's safety, we can't do that right now. So pros and cons of COVID, but we're getting through it as much as we can.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hopefully that's going to start changing soon, hopefully this is going to start to taper off. But in the meantime, we all get creative.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that's really cool about dog rescue, and this is just my own personal thoughts, is it never becomes just a number, at least it hasn't for us. There's always dogs you bond with more than others. But I remember the feeling of each dog that we've had come through, and one's going to start squeaking her toy right now. But hold on one second. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. We don't need that right now. But each dog kind of leaves a footprint on your heart to some extent, and it's so rewarding. Everybody will say, I can't foster. I just fall in love with every dog. There's no way I can foster. And that would have been me too, and I probably would have ended up with 100 dogs. But it's finding the homes that just make those dogs' lives so much better. I mean, Dot's seeing the world right now. And I was, at the time, gone 10 hours a day working. And now she's never, she's living in her own world where you cater to her. So there's so many, I'll never forget these pictures of this little girl hugging on another foster of mine. And one time a little girl comes over and she brought this whole backpack. I brought him a stick and I brought him a this, and here's this new toy, and I made this place in the bed for him. And these are all experiences that these dogs, their wildest dreams are. So for me to stand in the way and keep them all, or to say I can't open my heart to fostering because it's going to hurt me too much for them to leave, that was me the first time. And yes, I have failed on a dog, but it's so rewarding to see the forever that these dogs get. And sadly, some of them, we've had quite a few tragic cases this year where they, a month into being adopted, they are diagnosed with cancer and things like that. But gosh, to know that dog had a month of amazing life, and dogs' memories are somewhat short, which is wonderful. And that made their whole life. And we're able to make their whole life from being, in a bad situation or in a shelter. So as much as it's tough for us, it's amazing for us to see them have these transformations, and just know that there's a silver lining on the end.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think also the other side to that. So as a foster, I mean, Kelly does a lot more fostering than I do, but as a foster, it's great to see the impact it has on the dog, but it's also the impact it has on the adopter. So, and a slight personal story, my dog that I mentioned earlier, Simone, I had actually, I had cancer, and I'd had some treatment, and, I was obviously much better, but just before I went back to work, that was the weekend that Kelly had said, will you just look after Simone? She's, someone's adopted her, but they're returning her, and I'm out of town, and I don't want her to go to the rescue. And so for some reason, I hadn't had a dog since I was a child. But for some reason I was like, okay, she can come over. And she was like, she's a great dog, you'll love her. I think she had a cunning plan. But she came in, and the Christina, one of our other colleagues who worked at the rescue at the time, she went back to the rescue and said that dog's never leaving there, and she never did leave. And for me, it was the absolute right time. And I know it's I hate it's a cliche to say she saved me, because I think maybe that's a bit extreme for me, but she changed my life, in terms of having her there, the relationship, and just the fun and the love, and then more and more involvement in the rescue. So Kelly's right, it's amazing to see what happens when you hand a dog off for the dog, but what also happens to the owner is incredible too. So being a foster is just such an amazing thing to do, and to Kelly's point, being part of the rescue and having those upsides, that's what keeps it going. I mean, as she said, we've had some terrible times, and we very, very rarely have to euthanize a dog, but when it happens, we're all wrecks because we're so connected. So it's it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to be part of.
It really is. And thank you for sharing that story, because it's so true. I think I was going through a separation, what ultimately ended in a divorce, when I adopted Dot. And I'd never had a dog. That's the other thing. So I remember sitting her in the back seat, and I was just like, you have to tell me if I'm doing this right. I'm like, am I doing? And we still have that understanding that she tells, and she's so, she will tell you or talk to you and tell you exactly if you're not doing something right, or if she's not happy about something. Oh my gosh, she's very demonstrative. But she really trained me, and for sure was a big part of my healing, and like how I'm so joyful, like each and every day. It's so much fun being with her. She's such a great companion, and like when I roll over in the middle of the night, her foot's in my forehead. She's just, I can't ever be mad at her. She's amazing. But one thing that I thought of when you were telling that story is like, what can you tell people? What makes a good foster home situation, or what do you look for in in both like a foster situation or in an adoptive situation?
The willingness to love. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't take a massive backyard. It doesn't take you being home all the time. It doesn't take $1 million. It takes you just wanting to love a dog. And it's amazing how the dog recognizes it and changes. I mean, there is always a trying time, so maybe not caring that your windowsill gets eaten up a little bit, or having a little bit of temperament on that. But some of the most amazing fosters have come out of a 1-bedroom apartment and working 10 hours a day. And they probably would say, I don't think I can, and am I a good fit? And absolutely they are, because they're willing to try. And so really just anybody willing to try anything and to be part of the bigger picture makes an amazing foster home, makes an amazing adopter. There's nothing that's anything that's pre-described. And in fact, if you see the most amazing, beautiful houses and rolling backyards, etc., the dog just wants to be next to you. They don't care if they have all that plush land to run, and they just want to be next to you. Many of the dogs do. So it really, that's all they want.
That's so true. Never really heard it put that way. I like that. I was going to say something else, and I completely.
It does I will tell you though, it makes it easier to give them up too, because I'm like, I'm at work 8 hours a day or whatever, and I'm never home. So therefore they have these rolling green acres, and I feel much better about when I foster and adopt. But because not every time you get to know the people as intimately as I've gotten to know y'all. But it's always, a good situation for the dogs, and you can tell.
So if someone's interested in adopting, your process, is it still the same where you go online and you fill out an application? And I can't remember if there was a fee, and then I think you contacted me and we chatted. I can't remember now. It's been.
So it's fairly simple. You can go online to www.canerossorescue.org, And we have an adopt.
For the people that don't understand the British accent, it's basically spelled Cane Rosso.
Oh yeah. That's the Italian pronunciation. Thank you.
I'm positive
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. I'll be sure to put everything in the show notes too.
And so in the adopt section, you'll fill in an application form. We ask for information of basically where you are, where you live, some experience of your past dogs. We're in Texas, so we heavily believe in heartworm treatment and flea and tick prevention. So we ask histories about those things. And then you'll be reached out to by a member of the team, and we will we do virtual home visits to make sure that you are who you say you are and where you are. So we'll ask for you to provide some photos of kind of the key places in the home that your dog's going to spend time. It's not like we want a tour of your house, but where's your dog going to be, so we can approve you. And at that point, once you're approved, we'll either connect you with the foster of the dog if there's one you're interested in foster, or we'll call and arrange for you to come to the center to do a meeting if the dog's there. If you're not sure which dog, or there's a few, we'll also we'll have a call with you and just kind of talk you through, here's some options, what are you looking for, let's get the right fit for both you and the dog. There is a fee. The fees are on the website, but I will tell you that the fees, our average cost per dog is higher than the fee that we charge. And unfortunately, being in Texas, we have some cookie rule that has just come up that we do now have to charge a sales tax on the adoption fee. Yeah. So you'll see that on the website as well. But yeah, so there's a fee, and then we'll send you a contract. We have some specific rules in the contract. For example, if you decide you no longer want the dog, which unfortunately happens more often than you'd like to think, you have to come to us first. We don't want you to just hand the dog off to other people, etc. And then we cover, as part of the adoption fee, we cover all microchips, spay and neuter, vaccinations up to the point that they are adopted. If the dog comes to us heartworm positive, we cover heartworm treatment even once you've taken it. But yeah, it's a fairly simple process, hopefully fairly painless. The only real issue these days, which is a great problem to have, is when we have multiple applications for a dog. Obviously, our approach is very much that we find the first best fit. So it doesn't have to be the first application; it's the first best fit that we can get for the dog. So, but yeah, so simple. Again, www.canerosso.org, as Kelly says. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We have Facebook and Instagram.
On both the website and on Facebook. On the website, I'm not sure how often it's updated, but there's some beautiful pictures of the dogs. It's just amazing. And then on Facebook, I know that's pretty much rapid action of what's happening and where the need is, and people donate, all the time, even if it's just $5-10, whatever. And so that's that gives you more of a sense of like what's actually happening on day-to-day level, which I really find is a great, you feel really connected to what's happening. Yeah.
And kudos to our rescue director, Kelly Gray. She's on vacation this week, but she's like the dog whisperer, and we've been really fortunate enough to have her join our rescue. But if you come to us with an open mind of, hey, I'd like a dog and here's my lifestyle, she can really do a nice job of matching them up and knowing the quirks. She knows dogs so much better than and how they'll thrive, etc. But we try and be a family too. It's not like you adopt a dog and you walk off. Some people do that, right? But we try and offer some training assistance or offer feedback, or just overall try and stay connected. We have an adopter and foster special closed group Facebook so that we can keep in touch with all of the, so I'll have to get you added. I just remember that.
I was like, you do? Wait.
Yeah. I haven't added you yet, so we'll have to make sure we add you.
You
That's
adopted
okay.
before the Facebook page.
Yeah, this is way before we had the thing.
That's
so,
okay. I
but
just text you. So.
Updates with everybody. Yeah, and I love the Christmas cards and everything. Like, it's nice to have that constant connection, because we, sometimes we don't know where the dogs, we know they're with a loving family, but they don't think we want to be bothered with that, and we love the updates, and we love seeing where it is. So that's what's nice, is it's becoming like a community for many of the adopters as well.
Yeah. That's so cool. Well, one of the things I wanted to do with this show is not only raise awareness of what you're doing, but I also want to raise money. And so I have pledged, and I'm going to put this on all of my social outlets, that for every free click, all someone has to do is subscribe to a YouTube channel or podcast just to listen to this. Just subscribe, and I will donate. I will match that with $1. And so everyone, please share with friends, strangers, anyone. I mean, I want to raise money. I want to donate on everyone's behalf. Free to them means so much to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
And
Thank
and
you so
hopefully, I'll keep this going for a bit, and I hope that I can help contribute to all the great things that you're doing. And hopefully for sure in October, when we get to Texas, we'll have another visit and get to, catch up in person. So, but thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for having us on here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And thanks for staying in contact. As mentioned, we love to see the happy stories, and we love to know how they're thriving, and it's just an awesome opportunity to see that.
Yes. It's my pleasure.
Heather, you mentioned that you always have like the quote of the show, right? So I think the one that got both Judy and I kind of wrapped in was that Lily Tomlin quote, and it's on our website. It's kind of our tagline on it. So I'm just going to remind everybody to it, because as you scroll through Facebook pages and as you scroll past dogs on the highway and you hear stories, and this was me. It was constantly me. It was, I always said somebody should do something about it, and then I realized I was somebody. And so whatever your cause is, there's ways that you can give back, and this one has become important to us, but instead of just kind of watching, what else can you do? And so that's really been our tagline, and we're fortunate enough to surround ourselves with people that do it. But I wanted to make sure we kind of highlighted that quote, because it roped me in so fast, and I was just like looking at that, a Facebook page, and I was like, what stops me from fostering? What stops me from helping, volunteering, $5 pledge, whatever it is? There's nothing that stops me, but all of that adds up to a huge impact overall.
And it really, I'm so glad you reminded me of that, my own quote of the week that I found. But no, I'm so glad. And the thing is, it does all add up, right? Like people
amazing.
We think that we have to make this huge difference or do this big gesture, but honestly, $5 is a lot. Like any amount that people can give, or just time that they can give, or sharing, or everyone has a unique gift or ability. It's like, so all of that helps, all of that contributes, and it's really meaningful, even if it's just sharing the story to someone else who might,
I was gonna say, you don't understand how powerful the share button on Facebook is. You see a dog that you think's cute or a story that speaks to you, push share. I can't tell you how many people we found that have found their forever dogs just by a simple that, oh, my friend showed this on their Facebook page and I didn't even know you guys existed. So the ways to help are free, many times, or if you're able to help, but that just small acts make a huge impact.
Absolutely. Okay, before we ring off, I'm going to unhook and take you outside so you can see Miss Dotty.
Can't wait to see her.
She is so dirty right now. Okay, hang on.
Can't wait to see her though.
Dotty. Okay, unhook this, and okay. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Should be able to hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. Dotty.
Look at her.
What's she doing? What you
doing? Hey, baby girl.
Stop talking, Kelly. We can't see you.
Oh, sorry.
Can you see her? Oh, here we go. Dot. Hey, look. Who is it? Who is it? That's your first mom. Is that your first mom? Hey, show me your butt.
Oh.
I want to touch you, but I can't do that. And also, like,
Happy.
Yeah.
She's such a little goat. She was always our little goat.
She is. That's her favorite move, is to put her butt in.
Yep. She's such a little guy. Hi, baby girl. What you doing, Cleopadio? What you doing? Well, I'm so glad to see her happy, and thanks for showing us her.
Yes. Just her little.
And y'all
her
enjoy
little
your adventures.
temporary home. Dot's pod.
Nope. Yeah, y'all enjoy your adventures. She's so lucky to get to see the world.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. I don't know where I'd be without her. I certainly wouldn't be as happy. So yeah, she's my everything.
Nor would she be as happy. So glad it was a match.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks for taking the time. So great to catch up. And yeah, I'll be in touch soon.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Heather.
Have a good travel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Flipping Dreams. As always, please subscribe. Please send this to friends and family, strangers on the street. Share the love, because when we all succeed, it makes our world a better place. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you back here next week on Flipping Dreams.